Hi friends, welcome to my home. Let's go get knitting together. Hello friends, welcome back to A Knitter's Life podcast, and thanks for joining me for some knitting. I always say this, and I'm really sorry, but it's just my life right now. It is longer than I intended to be away. I thought that I would get right into a weekly podcasting schedule, but since I sat down with you guys last, the next week after I podcasted, my husband and I had set aside that week for redoing our living room and dining room floors. They were carpeted, and they were 20-year-old carpet, 20 plus years carpet that was just disgusting. And I would clean it all the time, sometimes on my hands and knees, spend hours cleaning it, and it still looked awful. Because hello, carpet with two boys in a dining room? Oh my goodness. So anyways, we had that week set aside, and for some reason I thought that I would be able to podcast that week. Well, ridiculous, because we had set aside that week for house projects, everything else decided to tumble in on us. So that week we had a mold problem that I discovered underneath my kitchen sink due to a kitchen sink leak that I had not been aware of. So we had to have mold remediation come out and deal with that. And then thankfully my dad was able to help us with a lot of that because he has all the tools, and he used to do mold remediation. So I was grateful for that. But then we had the car windshield crack because whatever. And then we had Arthur, because the furniture was the whole routine for the whole household was all disrupted. Who knows why it happened, but he fell down and he bonked his head on something and he gashed it open, and so we had an ER visit. Thankfully, we probably didn't need to go to the ER because they didn't put any stitches in, and he didn't need stitches, but head wounds bleed horrendously, and both JK and I felt he's 2 years old, and although he's extremely verbal, he doesn't know how to tell us if he's feeling a little off, like if he has a concussion. So we wanted to make sure he was okay. So all four of us tramped off to the ER. I was sitting next to Arthur in his car seat, pressing a towel against his head to try to stop the bleeding. And the bleeding did stop by the time we got to the ER, which again told me that it wasn't that deep, but it just bled a lot, so it freaked us out. So yeah. But anyways, the floors are lovely. We put down wood laminate. We didn't want to do anything very expensive because I don't want to be nagging my boys about toys in the living room or dining room that would scratch the wood floors. I want them to be able to have fun and be boys, and to a certain extent. There's always that certain extent, right? Within moderation. I feel like children get reprimanded enough that they need places where they can play and enjoy themselves. And my children are good children. They're not. Anyways, all right. I can foresee a big hullabaloo about what I just said, but oh well. Okay. On to some knitting, because that's the thing that's kept me sane during that crazy week, and then the week after, putting the house back together and getting our schedules back to be the way they normally are. I first did, one of the first things that I did just to kind of get back when I get stressed out, I just have to craft. I don't know if that happens to you guys, but I have to knit, I have to create, I have to do something. That definitely relieves a lot of stress for me. So some of the things that I wanted to do were just quick things. So one of the things I did was the wreath on the front door, which if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw. I'm a Knitter's Life on Instagram. Another thing that I did was change over the hutch and the mantelpiece, and I think I'll show you probably the hutch, or I showed you the hutch in the beginning video. And I did some painting with the kids, just got wooden figures and painted. The kids my 2 boys love to paint and love to create. So after school, we went to the craft store and we got some paint and we painted, and they had so much fun painting. So that was fun. So we have those little figurines that they painted, like trains and a turtle and things, up in the kitchen. And they love admiring their artwork, and I love making them feel like they are makers and that they are artists too. They have that sense of satisfaction. You can just see it in their faces, which is so important for little kids, and so important for us too, isn't it? Anyways, so that's what we've been busy with. And then I created a place down here in the basement. I'm in the basement today. So I created a space for myself down here. It's been a long time since I had my own little studio space. I used to have one of the bedrooms, and it was I had one half of the guest bedroom. But it's harder and harder for me to work up there, just because when the boys go to bed, you have to be really quiet. So because we have wood floors upstairs in our house, and sound carries. So I've stopped working up there in the evenings, and I have been working for the most part for the last 2 years out of a big bag, a big Land's End bag, and I just stuff all my things in that bag. It's organized, but still, it's nice to finally have some desk space and hang up some things that I love. I hung up, you can see, let's see if I can get this right, this way. Okay. The first pair, this crazy Farrell pair, is a pair of socks that was knit by my grandmother, and they're just kind of leftover socks, but they're beautiful. They were probably her boot socks, and this would have been probably in the 50s that she knit those. I never got to meet my grandmother, so they are especially special to me, and I'm so thankful that I have them. And then the white pair, there we go, right there, was a pair knit by her mother-in-law, so my great-grandmother. She was from Scotland, and I've talked about her before. She was a great knitter. Those are her skating socks that she would wear when she was ice skating. So she did pass those down to my grandmother, and my grandmother had them. So now they are here and with me. So they're too delicate to wear, and they have holes in them because, of course, they're quite old. But I love to look at them. And of course, they're 100% wool. None of this superwash, nylon, fancy, funny stuff that we have. And not self-striping. Those Farrell socks, they're very simple, but they are stranded. So lots of hard work in there. But anyways, so I created a little space for myself, and I'm very happy. It's nice to have a little space to your own. I'm surrounded by toys. If you were to, I show you what's around me. It's all the boys' toys. So it's fun. I can come down here and sit and have some of my things that I need to work on, and also just turn around and talk and play with them. So it's a great space. I think it's going to work out. It's going to be at least my space for the next, well, who knows. So today I'm drinking some chai, and I can't wait to tell you about this. This is really authentic, really good chai. Some of you probably remember that I work on Saturday mornings at my brother-in-law's shop, which is downtown Indianapolis, in Fountain Square. And I really, really hope that I could take some videos of it sometime for you to show you, because it's another creative space. Again, it's creative with it in a different way. It's not knitting related, but it's all food related. And Fountain Square is such a creative place down there. There's so many different kinds of people that come in, artists, people who buy vintage things and then remake them into other art pieces. There's a lady who takes vintage clothes and she resells them. There's a stylist that does kind of the same thing. It's just a really fun, creative place, and I love being surrounded by such creative people that come into the shop. So it's fun Saturday mornings just to be down there, and my big job is stocking the fresh food cooler. So making sure that all the lettuces and turnips and beets, and it's fun because we definitely go with the seasons. We get my brother-in-law gets the produce from local farms that are right around Indianapolis. Some of them are actually in Indianapolis. They're urban farms, which is so cool. So I know the farmers. I know they come in, they make deliveries, and it's just so awesome because it's food that you know where it came from. So anyways, one of the things he just started carrying this week was this awesome tea. It's Maharani's Bold Masala Chai. And actually, she has several different kinds of tea that she dropped off at the shop. And this is a lovely Indian mama who has made her own concoctions or blends of tea and is selling them. So she buys everything in bulk and then she mixes them and blends them together, and it is so good. This was black tea, turmeric, ginger, cardamom, star anise, and pepper, and it's all organic. So it is so yummy, and as you can see, I'm out. It's so I'm supposed to go to the shop this afternoon to pick up some things, so I'm going to be picking up some more chai. She has a coconut chai, she has a rooibos chai, and then she has a green morning mint tea, which I think would be so interesting to try. I don't think you can get her tea online, but I know I could provide a link to Wildwood Market, and I bet that they would, if you call them up, they wouldn't mind. You could purchase it over the phone and they could probably send it to you, I think. But it's really good. It's really good tea. Everything is fresh and flavorful, so I've been enjoying it. It's just, chai is so good. Anyways, on to some knitting and some finished objects. I am knitting this. Wearing, get my language straight here. I am wearing a shawl that I designed quite a while ago now, but I love it. It's perfect for this time of year. It's the With Love shawl. Here, I can take it off. It's a crescent shawl with a heart border of lace around it. And I love it because it makes the perfect gift to friends, to show just your love and support for them. And I love Valentine's Day. My family celebrated Valentine's Day to the hilt every year when I was growing up. Heart pancakes, we had a big mailbox. I've talked about this before, I think, but anyways, it was a happy day of exchanging notes and letters to one another just to show our appreciation for one another. So that's kind of what it has become in my household too, just swapping notes of love and appreciation to one another. So that's how I think of Valentine's Day. I know Valentine's Day has a little bit of angst for some people with it, and I'm sorry about that. I hope that you can find a way of celebrating it in a way that is meaningful to you. But anyways, we celebrate it just by giving each other little gifts of things we've made, and also exchanging little cards about how thankful we are for the other person. So this was a Valentine's Day shawl in a way, and I'm going to be giving you guys all 15% off the pattern this coming week, because I'll have the dates and the coupon code down below. The coupon code is With Love. So I just thought I wanted to share my appreciation of you guys with you, and so it's a fun shawl. the yarn that I used was Madeline Tosh Vintage, and this is the Fragrant colorway. So, but honestly, Madeline Tosh has so many beautiful colorways, and oh my goodness, the yarn that we have available to us these days is absolutely outstanding. All the indie dyers and all the options, it's quite amazing. So anyways, that's what I'm wearing. Finished object wise, I don't have a ton. I finished the socks from my uncle, and I posted them off because I had finished them and I was waiting to podcast, but they were sitting around and I thought, oh gosh, when am I going, I don't know when I'm going to get time to podcast, so I better send them off. So I sent them off. But I do have some other things, not totally finished, that I finished 100% the last 3 weeks, but some things that I've modified. So if you remember, I knit these mittens for Arthur back in the fall, and I just knit them as mittens. But as we were using them, and we had some snow in January after I podcasted, and we did a lot of hiking and sledding, and then it got warm, and then it got cold again. So we've been using these a lot, but I was so frustrated because they were only this big. They kept on falling off of him, but he loved them and he wanted to wear them. So I was trying to think of a way, how can I keep them on? And I noticed John, my older son, he has some gloves from Land's End, and they have the gauntlet with elastic that goes over the coat cuff. So I thought, why don't I do that? Why don't I pick up the stitches and knit out and increase and make a little gauntlet? So that's what I did. I didn't count anything. I just flew by the seat of my pants. I picked up stitches. Here, you can see it better on here. And I knit up, and then I increased every third stitch 2 times, so that I made 2 rounds of increases, but I did a round of plain in between those increases. So I cast on, I knit around, I increased every third stitch, I knit around plain, I increased again, and then I knit plain for about 4 rows. Well, 4 rows, 10 rows, and then I did a round of purl so that I could fold it over, and then I did about 5 more rounds so that I could create a lining so I could put elastic in it, and I haven't sewed it off here. And then I sewed it down, and I measured some elastic around his coat cuff because I didn't want to make it really, really tight, but I just wanted to grab on. And then I put the elastic through the seam that I had made and sewed it together. And oh my goodness, it works really well. I'm sure there is a pattern for this out there somewhere, and I need to look it up, but these work so well. So now I am not making mittens for my kids without the gauntlet attached because it just makes so much sense. They don't come off. Then I went one step further and I got some alpaca fingering weight, and I picked up stitches on the inside, you can see, and then I just knit up and then decreased to create little linings. So now his little hands are so nice and warm, and he's growing. So he's going to need a bigger pair soon. But I do think that spring will come before he needs a bigger pair. So this will last us through the end of the season. But yeah, it was funny when I realized that I modified them and he's been wearing them. And then this week I looked and I was like, oh, your hands are getting big. So I'll have to get busy for next season. Also, his little hat that I made that goes along with it. This is all hand spun, by the way. Hand spun from that I did out of Bee Fibers. Is it Bee Fibers out of Westfield? So she is sometimes at the Spring Fiber Festival in Greencastle called the Fiber Fest. But anyways, this is the Quarters Cap by Kristen Nicholas. And what I love about it, one of the reasons why I love to make it for my kids, is because it stretches bigger and bigger. So it grows with them throughout the season. And then what I'm going to be doing is adding a cuff onto it. I'll show you that next episode, but just to make it a little longer because he is growing and it's expanding with him this way, but it's also needs to be a little longer because he's a little growing boy. So he wears this everywhere, and if I would let him, he'd probably wear it inside. I mean, I let him, but if I went and got it for him every morning, I always put it away back in his bin. Each of my kids have bins in the closet that are just for their hats and gloves, so that we can keep everything straight. But anyways, he loves hats, which is so fun. So that is one of the reasons. Here, I can show you. I did finish the Quarters Cap for John, and I did put a band on it because it's a little big for him right now, but again, kids grow so fast, so I'd rather have it be a little big than a little small. And I did go ahead and put the bottom band on it. And the instructions are not in there in the Quarters Cap pattern for the bottom band, but it's really easy. All you do is just pick up one stitch for every garter ridge, and you knit and garter stitch for however long you want it, and you've got the band. And of course, you have to make a pom-pom. So John's been wearing that and loving it, and it is really soft. So the yarn that I used for this will be in the show notes of the episode 29. So that's been fun. So those are some finished objects that finished. The blue hat is the finished object. The others are modifications. The other thing that I finished were some bags for my Etsy shop. So there are going to be a few little bags in the Etsy shop, and these again are my fairy bags that I make out of old and beautiful things. So if you do not like old and beautiful things, these are not for you. Some people like more modern things, and that's just fine. But these are made out of, this was a beautiful tablecloth. It's a linen tablecloth that had holes in the center and some spots in the center, but the edges were still fine and beautiful. And I got it and made it into these fun little bags. So, and then I lined it with some vintage cotton that I found. So they all have these doilies that again I found at the vintage place that I love to go, and vintage buttons because I love to collect vintage old buttons. So those are those two. Here's this one. This one's really cute. It has, I appliqued a little heart onto it because it's such a beautiful doily, but there was a big hole right here, so I just covered it up. This one I put a little tiny doily on the back too. And then this one, I love this one. It's in keeping with the season for Valentine's Day. And then I just embroidered around the heart. You can see it. So they are up in the Etsy shop for your knitting. And I did make myself one because I love blue and white. So I haven't finished the one for myself yet, but that's okay. I will sometime. What I've been working on, oh my. Well, because we've been doing all this hiking in the cold, hiking and sledding when we had snow. We don't have snow now, but we did have some. I realized Arthur doesn't have any socks, some wool socks, and they're the best things to wear when you're on a winter hike because your feet stay so nice and warm. So I'm making tube socks for him. There is a wonderful tube sock pattern that did I write it down? It's so funny how you have this in your mind, and then when you go down to tube socks. Oh, nope, I didn't write down the pattern. I'm so crazy. You always think your mind can hold everything, but anyways, I will put a link to the tube sock pattern in the show notes. But tube socks are great for little guys who grow really fast. So I do make regular socks for John, just because, you know, by that, well, never mind, 6 years old, they still grow very fast. But his feet are small, and I make them a little big, so they tend to last him longer than little Arthur is just growing like a weed. So anyways, I've been making him tube socks, and I've almost got the second one. Got one and a half done. So and that will be perfect for hiking and sledding. I don't know if we'll get any more snow, but we'll definitely do some spring hiking, so that will be perfect. And this is in my little Brownie Knits bag that she gave me, so that's nice. And then, okay, the bad thing about working at Wildwood Market, well, not the bad, the dangerous thing about working at Wildwood Market is that the Mass Ave Knit Shop is so close. In fact, you can, if you stand in the front of the shop, Wildwood Market, you can see Mass Ave down the street to the left. Yes, very dangerous. And Mass Ave Knit Shop is a really big knitting shop here in Indianapolis, and so it's very tempting, not every time I work, but maybe every 6 weeks or so, to stop by and see what new things they have. Well, they had some more sock yarn in, and that's where I had gotten the Regia Pear Perfect sock yarn that I enjoyed so much. And so I wanted to work with some more yarn that was fun and different to me. And I had seen this Arnie and Carlos sock yarn and just loved it. I just love those oranges and blues together and the gray. It's just, I know it's more fall than spring, but I don't care. It makes me happy. So I got some. And it's making me very happy. This color, it's interesting. They don't exactly have the colors. Well, they do, but they're in German. And I don't, here. Is it gonna, no, it's not gonna focus. Okay, it's color number 03655, and I will find the correct color in English for you and put it in the show notes. But I'm sure that you have already seen this because I think it's the first edition of their color line, and I just loved it. So I think she has all the editions of their sock yarn in. I decided to put in a different color heel, and I did my favorite garter stitch heel. I've gotten a lot of questions about my garter stitch heel that I do, so I think I'm going to try to do a tutorial for you guys, a video tutorial, because I think that would help you and answer some of your questions that you have. I love it because it's stretchy. You know, it looks small, but it stretches this way, but never gets baggy. At least on me it doesn't. And it wears so well because it is garter stitch, and those stitches, you're getting the purl bumps as well as the knit bumps. So that, I've never had to darn one of my garter stitch heels yet. So we'll see. I'll let you know when I do. But I've never had to darn one yet. I have had to darn my regular heels that I've put in, the heel flap and gusset kind. In fact, I just darned a pair of my mom's heel flap and gusset socks that I had made for her a while ago. Which brings up a very interesting subject. Do you guys get asked by people to fix knitted items, not fix, darn knitted items. It's interesting. I just went through a spate of 3 different people asked me all in the same time period. It was so funny to darn different items of theirs. One was a husband's favorite sweater, and it was not a hand knit sweater, it was a commercially made sweater. And then another one was my mom's socks, which I had made. And then another one was a Christmas stocking that it was a lady's husband's Christmas stocking. So, and that was knit by probably his mother or grandmother, so it was old. But it was funny because and it came just at that time where I was doing the Christmas and then the flooring project, and so it just all kind of came all together, and I finally got the last darning project done, and I have yet to return it to the person. But I'd be curious if you guys get asked to fix other people's broken knitting problems, and what kind of darning techniques that you like. I did the weaving technique, darning technique on my mom's socks, and then I was able to do Kitchener stitches on the other 2 things that I had to mend just because of where they were. They were straight broken parts. They were straight stitches or the holes were straight across. How about that? But I'd be curious. So head over to the episode 30 thread and tell me about your darning experiences. And one of the things that I really am sad that I don't have is my grandmother's darning egg. My mom took it with us to Africa when we were little, and it got left behind when we moved back, so unfortunately. But that's okay. We can't have everything, right? So it's okay. So what else am I working on? I have 2 other things that I just finished, but I can't show you because they're surprises. And I have another thing that I cast on, but I can't show you because it's a surprise. But I am looking forward to showing you both of those things very, very soon. They're coming into their final phases, so that's exciting. One thing that I'm dreaming about, do you see this yarn right here in this beautiful cubby hole? I am dreaming about a sweater made with this yarn. Gina of Brownie Knits came over to my house the other week, and we were sitting and chatting and having tea, and we were actually working on a crochet project together, which will be coming out soon. And she, as we were crocheting, she pulled out this bag and said, "This is for you. I don't want to do the project that it was meant to be for, so I thought that you would like it." Oh, it was too scratchy too. I love scratchy wools. I like soft wools too, but I love that farm feeling of wool. I'm really weird. I am really weird. Oh well. So it's a fingering weight like Shetland wool, and I am just dreaming about a crazy Fair Isle stranded knitting sweater. So I hope that I'm going to get some time this weekend or this coming week to cast on. I want it to be top down yoked. I've got it all planned out and knit in my head. It's just now knitting it for real. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but sometimes when I'm falling asleep, I dream about knits that I want to knit or something that I want to create or make. And so anyways, it's like counting sheep in a different way. I wanted to show you some spinning, so let's go to the spinning wheel. Okay, I'm back with a little bit of spinning. I thought it would be fun to sit here and as I talk about spinning to do a little spinning, because honestly I haven't gotten enough time to spin lately. One of the things that I want to do, because I feel like I never get enough time to spin all the things, so sometimes if I seasonalize things or say, okay, this season I'm going to spin this, and the next season I'm going to spin that. Then I feel like I get around to all the things that I want to spin. So right now I am spinning some beautiful merino, and this is from my mom's cousin's farm up in Maine, Lilybrook Farm. So this is from her 2 sheep, Emma and Pearl, who landed on her doorstep one summer as little lambs, and they had been abandoned, and her friend, while on a road trip, came across these abandoned lambs and put them in the back of her car and drove them up to Nina's house, because Nina has a sheep farm up in Maine outside of Portland, and Nina has raised them, and my mom says they follow Nina around like little friends, and they look so different than the other kinds of sheep that she has. She has mainly Scottish blackface sheep, and they're so fluffy, and their fiber gets so poofy on them that they look like 2 fancy ladies following Nina around the farm. So I am really enjoying spinning them up. I have to wash and card the fleece, so I make these little rolags before I spin it, but it's perfect. This is the perfect thing to spin this time of year because my hands get so dry, and there is still quite a bit of lanolin left in the fiber. So I have really, really, really been enjoying spinning this fleece. Another thing with regard to spinning that has come to my garage is an old vintage treadle sewing machine. I didn't know that there's any still around, except, in a fancy antique shop, but my dad had this in his garage, and he has been cleaning out his garage because he's moving, and everything still works beautifully. The treadle, except for, I will say this, except for the sewing machine, the treadle and the wheel. So of course I'm looking at it and trying to figure out how I can make it into a spinning wheel, because I've seen that has been done, and I would love to do that. I would love to make it into a spindle spinning wheel, because I am just enamored with the concept of a spindle wheel, which is different. What I'm spinning on right now is a bobbin and flyer wheel, and I'm really enamored with the difference that different yarn that you can create on a spindle spinning wheel, and it's just different. It's fun. So I found plans. There actually are plans to convert a treadle spinning wheel, treadle sewing machine into a spinning wheel. So whether I will get time to do it is another thing, but I'm excited about the possibility. It's beautiful. The wood needs to be refinished, the tabletop needs to be refinished, and the drawers need to be refinished. So I'm hoping I can do that and put it back together as a spinning wheel. So the Native Americans actually did a lot of converting the treadle sewing machines into spinning wheels, because it's something that they would use for their weaving and their churro sweaters that they make. So I thought that was a little bit of interesting history that I stumbled upon as I was looking up how to convert a treadle sewing machine into a spinning wheel. So on the other hand, the sewing machine is still in it's still on the sewing machine. It's still on the sewing machine table, and it's a beautiful old sewing machine. I don't have any use for it, but it would make a great prop. So if any of you are makers out there, and you need a prop for something, PM me or something, and because I would definitely be willing to part with it. Shipping would be astronomical though, because it would be so heavy, but anyways, we can talk about it. But it's been fun. It's been fun to dream a little bit and also set aside for myself some time to just spend with this farm fiber. Probably in April, I'm going to go to the Greencastle Fiber Festival there. So I'm going to set aside, I can spin this lovely farm merino until April, and then I'm going to switch it up with probably some hand-painted roving. So I've been really curious to see or to try my hand at spinning sock yarn. I've done it once before, but I noticed that the lovely Knit Spin Farm, Joanna, has a really interesting way of spinning up some sock yarn so that it's self-striping, and I'm just really captivated by that. I want to try it. So I've seen it a little bit on Instagram, and I'm just fascinated. So that's what's been captivating me with spinning right now. Again, of course, I wish I had more time to spin, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get and enjoy what we have. So, okay, I should stop because I have one more thing to show you. All right, I should stop. I could go on and on. If you're on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen glimpses of this, but this is a sweater that it was a pullover it was a turtleneck pullover actually. So if you can imagine this closed up without the lace there, the lace wasn't there, it was just plain. I cut the sweater up the middle. I just kind of eyeballed it, cut it up the center, and then I added the lace at the bottom, some vintage lace that I found. And then I crocheted, I did a blanket stitch along the front opening edge, as you can see. And then I crocheted a button band onto it. And I did a little bit of applique with a doily and a little bit of embroidery. So, and now I love it. So why I did this, I love the sweater. It's such a soft sweater that I got several years ago when I was in Maine on vacation. It was a little colder than I expected, and so I had to go get a sweater. So that's why I got it. So I love it, and I love what it reminds me of, but I am a little bigger than a size small right now. I used to be a size small, but I'm not anymore. So I couldn't wear it without it looking a bit funny. So I decided to make it into a cardigan and add some width to it. So the button band definitely added some width to it, and I wanted to add some length to it too because I like things a little longer right now. So that's what I did to make it fit me again, and I love it. I wanted to do all white because I just wanted to keep it neutral to wear with everything, and it fits me and it's cozy. And as soon as the podcast is over, I'm going to be scrambling into it and enjoying it. So I think I might put one little button right here just to keep it closed, probably a white one, because I want to keep the white theme going on. But now I'm addicted to doing this, to revamping sweaters. It is so much fun just to let your imagination go wild. For the yarn that I did, I used Knit Picks pellet. It worked really well. On the crocheted border, I did it single-stranded, and I used a 3.25 millimeter crochet hook. And then for the embroidery, I did it double-stranded so that it came out a little bit thicker. So, and I really like how that turned out. It was really perfect for using it in that way. I did use a whole skein of pellet on this. So if I were to do it again, and if I were going to crochet the edging instead of use some vintage lace that I had, I would probably need at least 2 skeins of pellet, just because palette. Well, with crochet you use a little bit more yardage than knitting. Now, if you don't know how to crochet and you still want to do this crazy thing, cutting your sweaters, then you could do a knitted on lace, or you could do a lace border, a sideways lace piece, and sew it on. And I think that would be really, really pretty too. The other thing that I did after I cut it was I did sew it on the machine. And can you see right in here? I did so that it would not unravel. And then I did a blanket stitch around it, and that's what I crocheted into. So I did this once before, and I think I showed you guys last year. I did a green and blue sweater, and I love it. I love it. I'm addicted to it. It's just adding your own personality to your clothes. So you might find me doing it again because it was so much fun. So I want to leave you guys with a quote that I came across on Instagram that was just, it was very helpful for me, because I think when you're in a very busy time of life, and I know a lot of us are, and there's so many things to do and creating does bring such joy to you and to your family, sometimes you're overwhelmed because you can't do it all. Or I should say about myself, sometimes I'm overwhelmed because I can't do it all or create it all. And this quote from Cloistered Away on Instagram just really made so much sense to me. She writes, "This new year has already been kicking my butt." She's very frank. "As our family grows older together, I find myself stretched more and more as a person, as a mother, as a creative, and as an educator. I'm regularly confronted with the standards I hold myself to, the shame that comes when I don't meet it, and again, the deeper reality of knowing that that standard does not define me or the worth of what I do. The truth is, there will never be enough of me to accomplish all that is in my heart to do, but the sweetest freedom is that I was never intended to do it all or to do it all alone." As B. Brown so eloquently phrased it, "Grace will take you places hustling can't." This year, I want to lean into life with more grace than anxious hustle. But yes, that is so perfect. I loved, "The truth is, there will never be enough of me to accomplish all that is in my heart to do," which is so true. And I think that as a creative person, I don't know if you find this, but I find this. There's so many things that delight me and that I want to try. And it's okay to be delighted by all of that, but it's also okay if you don't get time to do it all. You can just enjoy the thought of it, the imagination of it, that you can't do it all, but you can enjoy it all, which was nice. So anyways, well, that is that for now, and I will not say when I'll see you next, because that might jinx things up a bit like it did last time. But I will see you soon. And in the meantime, you can catch me over on Instagram as A Knitter's Life, or in the Ravelry group, which is A Knitter's Life. Or you can find my project bags, the little fairy bags, on Etsy as A Knitter's Life as well. So until next time, happy knitting.